Well, good morning on this beautiful spring morning here on Lake Champlain. I had two friends in town who are here from California looking to do a conference in Vermont. And I said, guys, it's not like this. Not in April. It's not like this. Come back. And they said, this is beautiful. We always wanted to come to Vermont in the winter. So it's going to get better. Mitch, thank you for that kind introduction and those words. We truly appreciate your leadership and the partnership that we've had with you and so many of the folks in this room over the years. Let me thank Mariah and her team at the Burlington Partnership for their great leadership and work in the community in helping people. And I want to congratulate all the students that are here. The award winners and the folks who are here in support of them, and to say this about the young people in the room. Keep it up. You guys are making a difference, not just in the work you're doing here today, but I can tell you the folks in Montpelier and the folks in Washington, D.C., now more than ever are listening to the young people in this state, in this country. That is a good thing. Keep it up. Thank you so much. And I want to thank the adults in the room, the folks that work with young people, whether it's coaches, whether it's teachers, whether it's community members. Thank you for the work you do, really the unsung heroes of keeping our community safe, because it makes a difference. You know, last week I had the opportunity to swear our mayor in, and it was a great honor for me because I grew up in Burlington. I'm a seahorse, and I went to Edmonds, and I know there's some folks from Edmonds here today. And I graduated from Burlington High School, and to be asked back to swear the mayor in for his third term for a kid from Burlington, Vermont, was quite an honor, and it made me reflect on this community. And let me say this, that I would not be here today, and I certainly would not have been invited to swear the mayor in, but for the opportunity the city of Burlington and the state of Vermont provided me. Because I made mistakes growing up. My good friend Elsie Sklar is here. We went to high school together, and she has taken a vow of secrecy about those years. But it was the second chances people gave me, and it was, frankly, the third and fourth chances people gave me because I think a lot of different reasons. Not that I was anything special, but I can tell you this. I knew that I always belonged. I knew who I was and where I was from. And I think not everybody has that privilege. And Mitch is absolutely right when we talk about what a healthy community is. It is about community and connection. I couldn't agree more, and I certainly agree with the mayor about the opiate epidemic that is ravaging our state. But I also want to talk about, when we talk about healthy communities, I want to talk about mental health. Because I think we got a crisis in this state about mental health. And I am lucky because I'm married to Jess McLeod, who worked with Mitch for a while and really studied under Mitch. And I've learned more from her about what a healthy community is. And let me say this, what a healthy community is. A healthy community is a safe community. When we talk about what public safety means, we should be talking about health. We should be talking about access to health care. We should be talking about early childhood education, good public schools, access to mental health treatment and substance abuse treatment, and that issue of belonging, that issue of opportunity, because we have to acknowledge that the starting line is not the same for everybody in this world. We certainly expect folks to finish the race at the same time and hold them accountable when they don't, but we never acknowledge the barriers people face, that it's not fair. I was privileged. I came from a middle-class family. My dad was a lawyer. Got into a shirt, and this issue of social capital, of knowing that you come from a quote-unquote good family, that you know people in the community. You're gonna get those second chances. And that is the unfairness and the inequality that exists in our systems that we have to level out by building community, by building connections, by believing in young people. And I want to thank the Burlington Partnership for doing that. I want to tell you a story. Last week I was in New York, and I was invited down to talk about the issue of mental health in the criminal justice system. And this was a national conference and it was at NYU Law School. And it was great to be admitted into NYU Law School last week, because the first time I applied, they wouldn't let me in. So it was a great thing to finally get in 20 years after the fact. And there's incredibly impressive people at this convening. PhDs, JDs, all the smart people. And it was a great conference. But the most compelling person was this young guy from Miami who had been through the criminal justice system, had been convicted, and who suffered from mental illness. And he did so well in this program that they offered him a job in essentially a mental health type court. And he said, well, wait a minute. I'm delusional and paranoid. You don't want me in this program. And the folks in the system said, you're gonna fit right in. Don't worry about it. But this young guy spoke. And he had all these practitioners, all these policymakers in the room. And he spoke about connections. He spoke about treating people with respect, about actually seeing people for who they are, about being a peer to people as they struggle. And he talked about what worked. And you have so much literature in this field, and so many pilot programs, and a lot of money being spent. And he talked about human decency. He talked about picking somebody up and taking them for a cup of coffee, about actually listening to people, about treating them as a normal person, about making them feel that they are part of their community, that we don't ostracize them, that we don't label them, that we don't attach stigma to them, that we tell them that they belong regardless of who they are, where they're from, what they look like, who they love, or who they worship. It's not just about mental health. We divide people, and we label people, and we push them away. When you talk about who you see in the criminal justice system, I'm gonna tell you who you see. You walk into any courthouse right up here in the road, or you walk into any jail. You're gonna see mostly poor, you're gonna see people of color, you're gonna see people who maybe have a high school education, and you're gonna see people who suffer from mental illness, and then add on substance abuse. And I know that mental illness doesn't discriminate. I know that substance abuse doesn't discriminate, but poverty does, and those lack of resources do. And so the travesty of it all is that you see for the poor, and often people of color, being diagnosed at the bar of court by middle-class guys like myself saying, you're mentally ill, I'm gonna put you in jail, I'm gonna give you a condition and ask you to comply with these conditions that no person could. And we've marginalized people, we've ostracized them, we pushed them to the sides in the name of public safety, and it hasn't worked. But if we actually see people for who they are, to see the dignity of each person, to believe that a community belongs to everybody, and everybody has a role to play, to have that connection to the community, to understand our differences, whether it's color, whether it's religion, whether it's ethnicity, that we still share common traits, common goals, that everybody deserves an opportunity, that everybody deserves an opportunity to achieve whatever he or she believes that they can achieve. That's what the Burlington Partnership does, because that starting line that I talked about, we know it's not the same. But it's the work that people do in this community to level out those inequalities, to give people the opportunity. You know, I know that there's many award winners today, this morning. But I want to just acknowledge the BHS International Club for the work they're doing. As Attorney General, there has not been a day, and this day before it ends will be the same. There will be a crisis. And oftentimes, it will be from our federal government. And the question is always, for us, what are we gonna do as a state? And here's the thing about constitutional law. Up until January 20th, 2017, nobody practiced it. And then January 20th, 2017, things changed. You had things called the travel ban. We heard things called DACA. And I got a lot of smart lawyers in my office. And we gather and we talk, and a lot of legal talk and cases and precedent. But you know what it comes down to for me? It comes down to the values that I learned in this community. That you stand up for people, that you care for people, that you give people an opportunity to belong, that you don't push people to the side regardless of who they're from, that we don't say you speak a different language, that you're from a different country, that your parents aren't from here. We don't do that in this state. And the words that I read from the BHS International Club are those words that I use in my office, that we are not going to give hate a foothold in this state or in this nation. So I want to thank you for speaking up and standing against hate. You may not realize it, but you're doing civil rights work. And the work that you're doing is going to make a difference for so many people in this. And Vermont's a small state. We know that. And I get criticized all the time. Doesn't matter what I do. The mayor knows that. Occupational hazard. But at the end of the day, if it's one person who is a Vermonter, we're going to defend them if their rights are being threatened. And as long as I'm Attorney General, I'm going to stand up for everybody in this state and give everybody an opportunity and fight for people, because that's what I learned in this city. That's what the Burlington Partnership does, and I'm so grateful for the work you do. Keep it up. Thank you so much.